Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman.
Well, a pleasant Wednesday morning to you. I think it's Wednesday at this point. I've lost track with the Reds being on the West Coast doing Chatterbox Reds. This is going to be one hell of a week and a half for Trace Fowler, but that is beside the point. This is Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmer. I am Trace Fowler. We have the usual suspects in the room, as always, Reed, Elliott, and Casey. But we'll get into it right off the top of the show. You want sports? We're going to give you sports. That's what you want today? This is the spot for you. The Reds went to Anaheim, not really Anaheim anymore, but L.A., to play the Angels and Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. Mike Trout's back, so we'll include Mike Trout. They win 4-3. Some are saying a season-saving game. Some, don't know who would be saying that. But that's the rumor on the streets. Matt McClain with a little bit of a homecoming. Matt McClain, for those that do not know, is from Orange, California. Orange, California, which is basically Anaheim, just south of L.A. He homers in his first at-bat in the very first inning of his homecoming with a bunch of family and friends out there to watch him play. And he gets himself off to a great start, and the Reds lead 1-0 after the first inning. Another thing to note, and it's pretty cool, Mike Trout was Matt McClain's favorite player growing up. What did Mike Trout do in his very first at-bat? He pops out to Matt McClain. Matt McClain told Jim Day before the game that he was hoping that Mike Trout would ground out to him so he could say that he got Mike Trout out before, obviously, their careers end, whether that be, obviously, you'd like to think Matt McClain's wouldn't end before Mike Trout's, but you never know. But nonetheless, good for Matt McClain, good for the Reds. They got off to a 1-0 start. Also, probably the play of the game is a little weak chopper to the right side, Elly De La Cruz. I said it on Twitter, and I mean it again. If that first baseman makes a routine play, all he's got to do is just catch a little two-hopper right at his chest. How he missed it, I'll be honest, I don't know. But he missed it. And Elly gets on first base, allows 2 runs to score. That tied the game at 3-3. And then the next thing you know, Spencer Steer with the big hit of the game. I wouldn't even call it laced down the left field line, but a nice sharp ground ball down the third base line would allow probably the only guy in Major League Baseball that could score from first base in that spot. Elly De La Cruz would come around, give the Reds a 4-3 lead, and that would hold up because the bullpen is the best thing about this Cincinnati Reds team. Some are saying maybe even Ian Jabot might be that guy. I don't know. That's the rumors on the street. We have some people that are in here that probably want to discuss whether Ian Jabot's that guy or not. But I can tell you this. Alexis Diaz has come into 2 save situations this year. And you can say whatever you want about Alexis in his non-save situations, although Reds Daily points out Alexis' stats, believe it or not, are pretty much identical when he comes into a save situation to when he does not come into a save situation. That's hard to believe if you watch the Reds on a daily basis. But as they say, stats are stats, and they do not lie until they do, of course. So we're going to obviously talk about the Reds, the win, what it means, the NL Central, where that stands. Oh, by the way, the NL Central, is it a bad division still? Are we going to call it a bad division still? I don't know. Something we'll discuss, obviously. And then we're going to do a little NFL talk, because what would it be without off the bench in some NFL? And by NFL, we're going to go through who we think the division winners will be, maybe a sleeper in each division, and then ultimately a sleeper in the Super Bowl. And then I don't know if we'll make our Super Bowl predictions yet. I'm going to try to wait to save that perhaps for Tom and the gang when he comes back. But if Tom's not back, leaves us no other choice. We'd have to do it. Fellas, the other things of conversation, FC Cincinnati, big game tonight. Play Miami. Don't even know Miami's last name, but I do know that Lionel Messi.
Their last name's Miami.
Oh, FC Miami? Is that how it is?
Inter Miami.
Inter Miami. My apologies. FC Cincinnati plays Inter Miami tonight. But the biggest storyline in Cincinnati, the biggest name since Taylor Swift, Lionel Messi's in town. In fact, I would argue that Lionel Messi more famous than Taylor Swift. That might be a debate. I don't know. It's close, if anything.
Right.
Taylor Swift, though, is she is elite. So I'm not. This is no Taylor Swift slander here. I'm not a Swiftie, but I'm a fringe Swiftie, I think is the term that I like to use. Reed, Elliott, obviously Casey. How are we doing in here?
Good morning, Trace. I'm doing great. That's a great question. Is Lionel Messi more famous than Taylor Swift? I'd like to think yes. Yes, like if you family feuded it, you grabbed 100 people from across the world and you asked them who both those people are, I feel like more people might say they know who Lionel Messi is. But it's a good question. Elliot, how are you?
I'm doing great, Reed. How are you?
I'm fantastic. What a lovely Wednesday. Lovely Wednesday.
I'll tell you what, Trace is a real trooper today, man. He's doing shows last night at 1 a.m. He's editing videos. He comes in here. He's hosting shows. Trace is, and he's brought all the energy today. Trace
Trace had his cup of Joe. He had his
did.
Java this morning.
Yeah, I speaking of Cup of Joe, which this shows you that I'm not as prepared as I usually am. I did not get a United Dairy Farmers coffee, but I will find what do they call those things that you just stick on a desk that they
Prop?
do for the
Prop?
A prop. That's the term I'm using. I can find the prop here in a minute. So shout out United Dairy Farmers. Thank you to them. Casey is all in his garb. He is in the FC Cincinnati garb. Casey, are you excited for this game, or is this just kind of one of those things where it is what it is? It's not a real game, but it's interesting.
I mean, it's not a real game. Honestly, it's not a real game for FC fans.
No.
I mean, if you want the trophy, go for it. But there's no real reason to be upset if they lose. It is really cool that Messi is going to be there. Even if he doesn't play, he will be in the stadium. So that's kind of cool. But, man, tickets are like $300. It's kind of crazy. We'll get into it later, but.
Yeah, you could save $300 and you could see a better sporting event if you just go on down to Foundation Field and see the Cable Dodgers face off against the Outlaws in the final game of the regular season. So it's a great day of sports here in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati area.
Yeah, we can finish the debate on who's more famous, Taylor Swift and or Lionel Messi. I think Nick Mormon in the chat's probably right. He says it's 1 3 6 9 4 2 3 4 2 5, just probably some random numbers, times more famous than Taylor Swift. So he's probably right. I mean, Lionel Messi plays a global sport. He's world renowned and known. Taylor Swift, though, no slouch. I would argue, though, that Taylor Swift's more famous in the United States, without a doubt, than Lionel Messi.
Sure.
That's not even a question. Worldwide, maybe Messi gets the hand, but nonetheless, two icons, two famous people that that are good at their craft. You should be thankful when you see greatness. I always have said that. I believe that. I know that sometimes maybe you don't find it as interesting in certain subject matters throughout the world, but I gotta tell you, the reason I have that take, and I told this story in the office before. I don't know if I've ever told it obviously on air. I was in Chicago doing a baseball event, Prep Baseball Report. Shout them out one time, I guess. And I was just trying to find something to do in Chicago. Had no idea what was going on. Got on the old the things to do type Google searches, and Hamilton, of all things, was being played. I think, is that the right word to use? I don't know. It was being performed. It was being performed. Sorry to the arts, but I was being performed downtown, and I was like, you know what? I'm from Hamilton. Why not? This is coming from a guy that had no clue about any of it. That's the best thing in life, is when you stumble into something that's great, that you're naive to the whole thing. So I sit down, I have no idea what I'm about to watch. I'm assuming I'm going to get a history lesson, which you do. You do get a history lesson. And, when they started rapping, if you're familiar with Hamilton, you know what I'm talking about, I was at that point forward like, there's just talented people all over the world. I'm going to appreciate people when I see talented people. And by God, Hamilton, if you've not seen it, is legit. We got the old Chi-Town real estate coming in. This audience needs to know some super chats. Support these fellers.
Nice.
That's his second super chat.
It's 2 super chats.
2 of them.
In the first 11 minutes of the show. Chi-Town coming out today.
Man. Good morning, everyone. Love you. That was his first one. And then the second one is it's almost like people are going to think we're planning Chi-Town, but Chi-Town, thank you very much. You obviously, when you support the show, you can do it a multitude of ways, right? One of them is liking the stream, right? The bigger thing I want to ask everybody to do, because our numbers stink, and I'm not saying you stink, I'm just saying our numbers stink in regards to the amount of people that watch this show that are subscribed to our channel, and the amount of people that watch this show are not subscribed to our channel. There's a good chance you're not subscribed, and there's a really even better chance that you didn't click the bell. So if you can do me a favor today, and you're feeling good, feeling froggy, feeling fresh, feeling like, you know what, I want to make an impact in this life, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. I don't say it's that simple because that's a hard job, but when you accomplish it, you should feel like you've made the most of your day. I felt like yesterday's show on my end, I was terrible. I stunk. And you know what? I'm going to be a little bit better today. Let's talk about the Reds. They go to Anaheim, and by Anaheim I mean LA. And
got one more super chat.
another super chat.
Two super chats.
How are we
We got
supposed
two
to run
super
a
chats.
show with all these super chats?
Drew-
How are we supposed to run a show? Just throw them on the screen. I'm going to do my best to read these, Casey. I can't see that far. I feel like I'm is it empathizing or sympathizing with Tom? I'm not sure the right term, but that's where I'm at now. Drew Garrison.
Are you a
Is
fan?
Trace a fan of Hamilton legend Slim Jones?
Slim Jesus.
I can't read this.
I'll read it for you. Drew
well-
Garrison asked, is Trace a fan of Hamilton legend Slim Jesus? He hangs out on Frank Block. Do you know who Slim Jesus is, Trace?
Man.
I don't.
All right, I got the super chats now to where I can see them. Slim Jesus? No.
We might have to do a teaching Trace here because Slim Jesus is a rapper that had one trap song that got a little popular on YouTube
Okay.
a few years ago. I think
Yeah.
it even got like on Tosh.0.
Okay.
And it is the most ridiculous rap song ever. They hoist a lot of guns in there in the video, and they talk about shooting people, and then you find out that they're holding airsoft guns. So that's Slim Jesus. I've
seen this kid. This kid became a meme.
Yeah, I've seen
this guy.
Yeah,
He
he's
looks
from-
like Eminem.
Yeah, he looks like
He's from Hamilton?
Yeah, he looks. Yeah, and he
That's
had a
about right.
popular song. It's called "Drill Time," which means shooting people. Drill time.
Not a
and
fan.
I've saw Slim Jesus 2 times in my life around Hamilton. One time we were at El Mariachi, the Mexican restaurant here in town, and he was on FaceTime just being about as loud as he could possibly be. But that's what you can do when you're a mega superstar like Slim Jesus. You can do
Right.
that sort of stuff.
Is he
Okay.
still thriving?
He only has that one song. I would tell Casey to pull it up and play it for our fans if they haven't.
Oh, I don't
if they
know.
haven't
No,
seen
I'd
it.
like to keep our audience.
But he does cuss quite a bit in it. It is absolutely ridiculous song.
Fair enough.
it's a
No,
good
I'm not a
show.
big fan of Slam Jesus. It sounds like he's just a terrible, terrible figure, terrible guy. Not a guy I'd like to be around. All right, that one guy, 15, says, whoever plays Lafayette and raps in a French accent deserves every award they can get. Yes, Hamilton is elite. If you've not seen Hamilton,
I've not.
You should go watch
Lin-Manuel
it.
Miranda.
Yeah, Lin-Manuel
Have you seen
Miranda.
Hamilton?
Listen,
yeah.
here's the thing about Hamilton that I know many of you maybe not care about. I've seen it like 4 times because I just went to Chicago a few times, and every time I was there, I was like, I'm going to go watch it. Why not? It's not that expensive in Chicago. Now, the traveling tour where you go to cities that hardly ever get it, when it's in Chicago for a year and a half, every single day for a year and a half, ticket prices obviously go down. The traveling tour where you're paying $250, $300 a ticket, I don't know, man. Just find a way to get to Chicago, which I don't know. Again, Hamilton's old, so at this point, I don't know if they're even running the shows. But nonetheless,
I'm not throwing away my shot.
yeah, I mean it's a legit nice pun. I like that, but anyway, it's legit. You should appreciate greatness. All right, back to the show. Cincinnati Reds. They win 4-3, like I mentioned before at the top of the program. It's a situation right now where the Reds play 2 games a day, and I have a proposition for the chat and for you. The Reds should throw off in the first game. We're facing one of the best players, not only in Major League Baseball, but one of the best players in MLB history. Shohei Ohtani is a guy that I respect. I'm not suggesting I want to lay down and be like, oh, we automatically lose game 1. But I'm not throwing Andrew Abbott game 1. And I'm possibly ruining a start from Andrew Abbott when we have Lyon Richardson throwing in game 2. All right? I'm throwing Richardson to the Wolves. He's throwing against the old mighty Mo of Shohei Ohtani. And I'm taking 1 win today. And I know you can't guarantee a win, but by golly, you can get as close to guaranteeing a win as you possibly can if you throw Andrew Abbott in that second game. Now, some are going to argue, hey, if you do that, you're pretty much just guaranteeing at least 1 loss. Well, again, you split the series today, you win the series overall, you keep it moving. The last thing you need to happen today is you lose 2-0 with this abysmal offense right now, and I'm going to call it abysmal because I still think that it is. I'm not going to make 2 bones about it, if you will. I think the Reds' offense is still struggling. They have holes all over it. They're paper thin, and I don't know if Shohei Ohtani is going to have a whole lot of problems today, if we're being quite frank. So I'm going to throw Andrew Abbott game 2, and we're going to keep it moving. Now, I don't know what you guys feel about that. Is that a loser's mentality? Would that be something that you would do? Would you consider it at least? Would you throw off in game 1 and just say, you know what, Andrew, you're going to throw game 2 against this guy we've never heard of before?
No, you played college baseball. I played college baseball, so we know what this strategy is. Sometimes you face a team on a weekend, and their ace is just really, really good. So why are you throwing ace against ace when you got an opportunity? You just throw the guy who's going to go in game 2, go up against Shohei. Maybe you luck into a win, maybe go, but why are you going 1 against 1? And just throw Andrew Abbott in the second game of the doubleheader and try to get the series win, right? That's the whole purpose of this whole thing is you're trying to get the series win. It's a lot different if the Reds lost last night.
I agree.
It's a lot different if the Reds lost last night because now you got to win 2 games out of the 3. So now you're going 1 against 1 because you got to win the ball game. But yeah, it's just a simple. You can call it a punt, you can call it throwing off, whatever you want to call it. It just seems logical to try and put your best foot forward in winning the series, not so much winning game 2.
Yeah, like if the Reds right now are not in a position where there's the postseason is a lock, right? So you're just trying to win as many games as possible. The best chance to win this series, win 2 out of 3, is to have Andrew Abbott come out for game 3 in a game where the Angels don't have the best player in a generation, right? Oh. What? Shohei Ohtani's not the best player in a generation?
Ever.
Oh, ever. Okay, sorry. But yeah, I think that's the right strategy, especially with the Reds' current position. The offense, like Trey says, is the worst of all. I mean, it's just bad. The Reds, they can't score. They can't score any runs. I don't know. I mean, I guess what's going to have to happen is Ellie's going to have to wake up at some point. But Matt McClain's there, thank God. Joey Votto's at-bats last night looked terrible. He did have a hit. But Joey Votto, there's been a lot of Joey Votto slander on the Twitter or X-verse lately. So I don't know. The Reds can't score any runs. Graham Ashcraft pitched great. But as you approach a 3-game series, which I'm not going to say is a must-win, but at some point you have to start taking series and start winning 2 out of 3 opposed to just taking 1 and just literally sinking until the end of the year. So I'm with Trace 100%. Throw Andrew. And you saw what happened with the Brewers all season long. The Reds have tried to match Corbin Burns all year, 1-on-1, 1-on-1, 2-on-2. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked then. It's not going to work now while the offense literally can't score.
It's the only series in which the Reds play against a sub-500 team till after Labor Day. We talked about that 20-game stretch. This is the series where they are, favored to win the series. So why not go after it? And Shohei Ohtani, I'm looking at stats right here. His last 3 starts has thrown 19 innings, has not given up an earned run. So not only are you facing the best player in the American League, the best player in Major League Baseball, the best player of a generation, best player maybe of all time, you're talking about a guy who's red hot on the mound as well.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at now. The Reds are just they're in a tread water state. We've been talking about that, but they've not been treading water. That's the thing. They've not been treading water. They've been sinking slowly but surely. If you split the day, you feel like you've had a big series win against the Angels, even though it's not a great team per se. But as I've said before, you move on. You got games against the Diamondbacks, games against the Giants, and then you turn around and you play the Cubs. That's the season. It's right in front of us. Other news that I don't love to share, but it's news nonetheless. Nick Lodolo suffered another setback. He's going to basically be sidelined for the rest of the year. I could care less what the media, and I say media is in the PR department at the Cincinnati Reds, are going to say. Nick Lodolo is done for the year. Okay, and if I'm wrong on that, come back and tell me, and I'll be honest, I won't do a show again. That's how confident I am that Nick Lodolo will not pitch for the Cincinnati Reds this year. And for those that don't know, he basically re-injured the same problem that he had. And you got to give Tom Brenneman some credit. I know He's gone right now. Tom mentioned it from the very, very start. Once he heard about the injury, he said, listen, I don't know if that's really ever going to heal the way in which he hopes it does. So maybe Tom's right on some few things and you know what? We should give him credit for it. He was right on the offensive line. He's right on Nick Lodolo.
Tom's takes, good.
Tom's takes, not bad sometimes. Not bad. Joey Votto. Don't know how deep we want to go into this, but I think we're in a situation now where, like I said yesterday, Joey Votto is what he is. He's 39 years old, coming off major surgery. This should not be shocking. If it's shocking, you've had blinders on. I hate to say that. For those, could you imagine having actually a brain in your head? Having a brain in your head and thinking that you're going to pick up his option for next year? Could you imagine even having like one, what are those called? Neurons, I think?
Yeah, that's right.
One neuron just firing at all cylinders and still thinking that Joey Votto should get his option picked up for next year? This man deserves all the credit in the world. He's going to have a statue outside of Great American Ballpark. He's going to be arguably the best Reds player that many people have seen within their generation. You can't say enough nice things about Joey Votto. And you know what? You can't even say that there's an option right now to get rid of him. I know he's not playing well. You know things are going bad when there's a shift, and by shift I mean that they basically push the third baseman over near the 6 hole, the shortstop hole, and then you have the shortstop basically playing right behind second base, even though they've tried to get rid of the shift in Major League Baseball. But eventually, I think they'll hopefully use the pie chart, and that'll all go away. But beside the point, you know it's bad when Joey Votto is kind of doing a Suedo bunt to just get on base, right? I mean, that's basically what happened yesterday. If you look at the box score, you seen he got a hit, and you're thinking, wow, why are you so hard on Joey? Listen, Joey's looked abysmal. But here's the thing. I'm a believer in positive energy. I'm not going to sit here and yell up and down one side of the place about how Joey Votto needs to get benched, this, that, and the other. There's not a better option than Joey Votto right now. Joey Votto is the only option for the most part that's playing first base and or DH. There's nobody behind him. If there was, trust me, I don't think he'd be playing, but he is. In Joey Votto, Nick Kirby said probably maybe the most excellent point Nick said on the show yesterday. Joey Votto, like it or not, for a guy that's 39 years old, he's the guy that has the most upside that this team has on a guy that could possibly just get hot for 2 or 3 weeks. Joey Votto can have that happen to him. I think that's still in there somewhere. The problem is the consistency that we've come to know and love about Joey Votto. It's gone. It's gone. I think that he can still play great baseball. It'll just be in spurts now. It's not going to be, hey, you throw Joey out there, you know what you're getting, and it's guaranteed you're going to get great at bat after great at bat, and you're probably going to get on base at least once or twice a game. That's gone, guys.
Yeah, no, I think Joey Votto, I mean, this is his last season in Major League Baseball. He's not producing enough. He said in an interview, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, he'll know when it's time, and I think you're seeing what's happening right now, and it's time. I'd love to sign Joey back for a $1 million contract, and it could just be the Pujols, right? Or Miguel Cabrera, what you're seeing now in his last year. You're just not playing a ton, but you're there. You'll pinch hit every once in a while, maybe DH once every week. But Joey Votto leads the team in home runs since he has been brought up. He leads the team in RBIs since he's been brought up, or since he's come back from injury. I do think there's still a role for Joey Votto on this roster. It's just not consistent, like Trey said. You're not going to get consistent at bats. He's not drawing the walks anymore. He is there strictly for a home run once a week. That is what Joey Votto's there for. And as bad as that sounds, it's the truth. I'm not writing off Joey Votto. The Reds are in a position where you can't get rid of Joey Votto. He's going to play. You're just going to have to suck it up and watch. But I believe he's earned it. If I'm going to be completely honest, I believe he's earned this year. He's earned last year. He's earned the bad play that you're seeing right now. He's a 40-year-old man. I think he's okay. I think we'll be okay. The issue with this Reds team goes far beyond Joey Votto right now. So as bad as he's been over the past, 3 weeks, I think he's going to be fine. He's going to end the season probably with an average around 220. His OBP is not going to be great, probably around 320. But hopefully he finishes the year with 20 home runs, and that's all I can hope for.
The evolution of Joey Votto as a ball player is so intriguing. If I would have told you guys 10 years ago when he first signed that contract and you knew that he was going to be on the Reds till he was 40 years old, if I told you, what do you think a 40-year-old Joey Votto looks like? You would not have told me, be like, he looks like an Adam Dunn kind of character where he's just going up there, he's striking out, and in 40% of his at-bats, he's not walking, he's batting 190. You would have told me he'd be like a slap hitter, a punch and Judy hitter. And it's interesting that he is such a talented ball player, that it's almost like he introspectively looked at himself and said, how can I help this team now that I can't do what I once did, which is getting on base 45% of the time, hitting 300, hitting, doubles in the gaps left and right. He's like, how can I help this team? I'm just going to start launching the ball in the air and try and hit 30 home runs and realize, listen, if I can't hit 300, I'll bat 200 and try to be the power hitter and supplement, as Elliott said, the team with 1 home run a week. It's so interesting that he has turned into this kind of a player.
Well, Joey Votto is a very thoughtful guy, right? We all know that. Anybody that's been around the city for quite some time knows that Joey Votto is some call him a different cat, whatever term you want to use. He's a very intellectual being. And I think that what he did was he seen, quite frankly, what Aaron Judge was doing. Now, he wasn't going to be able to replicate what Aaron Judge was doing, obviously. But I think from if you get into the hitting mechanics of what guys are doing, teacher man. And I think Joey Votto got into that teacher man philosophy, which largely allows you to get more power. And Joey Votto then, unfortunately, when you get that far into your career, it's just much more difficult to maintain the same type of contact rate that you would normally have when you change your entire philosophy at the plate. And that's what Joey Votto did, because he felt like the game was changing. He's seen it right before his eyes, and he knew that power meant something. OPS was a stat that was being widely used between a lot of people to measure how good of a player you are, and you still got guys like Kyle Schwarber right now, who's leading off for a team that's going to make the postseason, and he's hitting like 190. That shows you the game's changed. The idea of what a leadoff hitter and or a successful hitter is in Major League Baseball has changed. And Joey Votto's seen that, and he made an adjustment, and to give Joey Votto credit for doing that. I see kind of some people in the chat, and again, I don't know how much you let the chat run the show, things of that nature, but I'm going to say this. If you think for 1 second that what we've said so far is bashing the Reds, then you got blinders on. Your head's in the sand. I mean, yesterday on the show, I said that this franchise has never been in a better position since I've been a fan. They've just never been. They have rookie after rookie after rookie after rookie up and down this lineup that have not only do they look okay, this isn't just like, well, I think he's going to turn it around. They've been productive. They're good players. But to sit here and act like Joey Votto right now is not one piece of this team that needs to play better for them to possibly do something this year, you're lying to yourself. Completely lying to yourself. Between Joey Votto and Tyler Stevenson, those two guys in and of themselves have to play better for the Reds to win. I would argue if Tyler Stevenson bobbles the ball like we've seen him do 1,000 times this year, to throw out the guy at second base, shout out Tyler Stevenson, he threw a guy out at second base in the 9th inning. If he doesn't throw that guy out, do the Reds win? I don't know. The chances go way down of them winning if he doesn't throw that guy out. Those are the types of plays we need out of these guys. And if you don't get them, they're not going to be where we need them to be. I'm not rooting against Joey Votto. I'm not rooting against Tyler Stevenson. I'm just pointing out that if we're going to be critical about Ellie De La Cruz striking out half the time he goes up there, let's be fair. Let's be fair. Let's talk about the other guy. And listen, I am the first guy to be on the Joey Votto is the best Reds hitter of all time take. He is. He is. He's the best Reds hitter that not only I've ever seen, but you've ever seen play in a Reds uniform. And you can say, oh, man, that's not best hitter. He's the best offensive player. Okay, what do you do in a baseball game? You come out of the dugout, you walk up to the plate. Then I'll say it like that. You want me to say it like that? Joey Votto is the best Reds person in a uniform that's walked out of the dugout and walked up to the plate. So how can I say that, but on the other hand, obviously just feel like I'm being demeaning to Joey Votto? I'm just pointing out that's what has to change for this team to win now. And you can make the argument to me clear as day. You know what? You shouldn't get all that crazy about it because they're not supposed to win. You might be right about that too. If you told me before the season that Joey Votto was even going to have half the success he's had this year, I would have said you're probably wrong. And he has. I give him all the credit in the world. In fact, I think it's unbelievable what he's done this year. But those two things can be different. They don't have to be the same. Just because I say that you need more out of your first baseman right now to possibly play in meaningful baseball games and get to the postseason, but then on the other hand, also say that I think what Joey Votto is doing is actually really impressive. They can do two different things and have two different meanings. And again, the season, by all stretch of the imagination, is not anywhere near over. Not anywhere near over. But if you watch these games on a nightly basis and a daily basis like I do, and you see this offense and it doesn't concern you at all, we're not watching the same game, I guess. And I'm willing to, I guess, agree to disagree. If you think this Reds offense, the way that it's been playing right now, is going to be good enough to win meaningful games down the stretch, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. How you fix it? There's only one way to fix it. We need some guys to start playing better. And unfortunately, the first baseman right now has to play a little bit better. And that includes, honestly, even though it might not be fair to him, CES, we need some more power out of CES. We need CES to run into a few more pitches and hit him over the fence. CES has actually done pretty well from a batted ball standpoint. He's done pretty well from an average standpoint, all the above. But again, if we want to sit here and act like OPS is the ultimate and power is the ultimate, and for lack of a better term, that's what this team, when it got going really, really good, that's what they had. They had guys hitting the ball over the fence. You can talk about the aggressive base running. You can talk about all these things that we do on a nightly basis. But unless we start hitting the ball over the fence or hitting the ball for power by doubles and triples, we're not going to make the postseason. Doesn't mean I don't think we're going to. I'm just saying that's the truth. All right, we have another super chat. Is this where we're at right now?
Another super chat.
Another super chat.
Chi-Town Real Estate.
Chi-Town Real Estate. This is a disclaimer to you. Make sure that you can at least pay your rent, okay? I'm being serious when I say that. Don't be giving us all of the money now. Trace, you take this chat too seriously. Engage but laugh. No, I mean, maybe so. Maybe I do take the chat too seriously. The chat in and of itself is a part of the show, though. I mean, if you're in the chat, I think you deserve to at least see what your opinions are. I see people's opinions. Oh, it's trashing the Reds. I'm trashing the Reds. If you think I'm trashing the Reds, then I'm glad you're not my kid. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm a lot harder on my kids than I am ever on the Cincinnati Reds. And maybe I should be. But my point is that if you think that I'm upset about the Reds right now, I hope that you never see when I really am upset about them. All right. Your overall take on not the Reds, but the NL Central.
Yeah, I made a take a couple months ago that I think I was laughed at in the room. I think I was laughed at in the chat, and that was I said that I think there's a very real possibility, and it's showing itself that market three National League Central teams make the postseason. That's currently how it stands right now. You're looking at the Brewers winning the division. You're looking at the wild card, both the Cubs and the Reds, or the Reds are half game out, so just right on the outside of it. But listen, for 3 months of the season, when it first started, everyone was talking, is the NL Central the worst division in baseball history? How bad's the NL Central? And I said from the get-go, it's like, guys, everyone in the NL Central is playing above what their expectations are. The Brewers are, the Cubs are, the Reds are, the Pirates are. The reason that people think the NL Central is bad is just because the team that has dominated the NL Central for a better part of 2 decades has been playing way under expectations. We talked before the season. It looks like it's the Cardinals' division to win. They're the betting favorite. They would really have to mess it up. Well, they mess it up. Everyone else in the division has played way above their pay grade. And I think it's time that people in the macro and the country start recognizing the NL Central has some damn good ball teams. There are 2 teams that are legitimate wild card contenders.
Yeah.
And
at least two. At least two. You can make the argument. Right? Yeah, I'm saying at least 2. Obviously, the Brewers are. You're saying wild card. Yes, I'm saying there's 2 teams that if you told me right now, I wouldn't say guarantee. I would almost guarantee that 2 teams out of the Central are going to make the postseason. Whether it's the Cubs or the Reds, one of those will end up playing well enough to get in the postseason. Then obviously have the Brewers. Maybe the Cubs or the Reds chase down the Brewers. I'm not trying to say I give up on that. Oh, there goes pessimistic Trace again. He's already given up on the division. But I'm just saying, statistically speaking, probably doesn't look all that great. One other thing I want to add here before Elliot, you maybe make a point here, is this. The MLB re-ranks their farm systems at the mid-year.
Saw that.
Right? Number 1, Baltimore Orioles. Mm-hmm. Number 2, Pittsburgh, the Pirates. Number 3, the Milwaukee Brewers. Number 4, Chicago Cubs. Number 5, Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, so 4 out of the top 5 are all right here in this division. This division is going to be good for years to come, and before the point, whatever point Elliot was going to make. Am I crazy for thinking the Pirates aren't too far off? I think they've got a lot of young talent. I think that
Pirates are not that far off.
I could really see this division, besides the Brewers. I know we always joke about how the Brewers are good and everyone says they're bad. The Brewers, I think, are going to win the division this year. I think the Brewers are toast going forward. I think they're done in the years ahead. But I think that the Cubs, the Reds, the Pirates are going to be a 3-team juggernaut at the top of the NL Central for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, the NL Central is better than I have given them credit for. I think if you look around, like the wild card teams, which I'm looking at right now, the Reds, like as bad as the Reds have played over the course of the past, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, they're still 4 games above 500 and well within a good position to make the postseason. I find it unlikely that 2 out of the 2 teams from the NL Central go still. I think the Diamondbacks are just a little bit better. But to your guys' credit, I mean, until we see it, we haven't seen it. So the Cubs and the Brewers, I think right now are playoff teams. The Reds, if the Reds can get an offense back, they're a playoff team. I still believe the Reds are the, 3rd, 4th most talented team in the NL right now? I still firmly believe that. The bullpen has been phenomenal. Everybody destroyed the Reds' bullpen all season long, including me. I still don't trust any single person in that bullpen except for Alexis Diaz, and I am proven wrong time and time again. If the Reds' offense can figure this out, and it is a slump, the MLB season is 162 games. It's longer than I would like to see it, but that's how the sport has gone for 300 years. So if it's going to be 162 games, you're going to see guys go on slumps, especially guys who have never played in the league before, and half our offense is that exactly. So more than half. So I think if you look at the NL Central as a whole, I think you have 3 really good teams, and I think there is going to be a playoff push towards the end that's going to be probably the most exciting playoff push I've had in my lifetime right now between the Cubs, Reds, Diamondbacks, and Giants. I'm writing off the Marlins. Reed loves the Marlins. I'm writing them off. I think the Padres are dead. And other than that, that's it. So I think there's still a very good chance the Reds make the postseason here. The season's not dead. Casey's been saying it for a long time. You got to just get through this month and get to September. As I disagree with it a little bit just because you can't completely die like it appears the Reds have kind of done. But at the same time, they're still putting themselves in a position. They're 5-5 over their last 10. If you keep going 5-5 over your last 10 until the end of this month, and we get into September and we're playing, respectfully, trash, then you do have a good chance to make the postseason. And I think the Reds are in that spot right now.
Can we agree to go to a Reds game if they make the like if they play in Chicago, like say Chicago and the Cubs or Chicago and the Reds?
I'm not going back. I'm going to stop you right there. I'm not going back to Chicago. That was the last time. I'm going to stop you right there. That was the last time I'll ever go to Chicago. No, thank you. I wouldn't wake up the next morning if I went to a playoff game in Chicago, sat in the bleachers, and had those hooligans dance around me and spill beer on my ass. I'm done. You can go to Chicago. You do whatever you want. I'm going to stay here.
Elliot.
You can do whatever you want.
We show up for batting practice, and Elliot, not once, not twice, damn near a half dozen times, looks at me and goes, "This is so cool. This is the best field I've been to. This is so cool. This is awesome. I don't remember it being like this. This is awesome." He turns to me when the game starts and the Reds take the lead. This is the coolest thing ever. This is awesome. Thank you for bringing me. Thank you for coming the whole 9 yards. And then it went south in a hurry.
Yeah, well, then the Cubs scored 16 unanswered, and Nick Senzel kicked around 4 balls at third base. So, yeah, it wasn't a fun time, and I'm not going to go back. But if you want to go,
even have the worst air of the
Trace
day.
can go with you. Trace can sit right next to you. Enjoy that. They do cup snakes, and they spill beer on you. That's what they do over there in Chicago.
We keep talking about the Nick Senzel errors. He didn't even have the worst air of that game. Joey Votto looked like a little leaguer on that.
Well, yeah, that's true. By the way, not to side tangent again. Did Nick Senzel disrespect the Castellinis? Is he dead? Where is Nick Senzel?
Listen, Nick brought up a good point the other day. This is all speculative. I hate doing this because who knows what happened, really. Genuinely, who knows what happened. The only guess that I have, and Nick brought it up, is, and I think it's a decent point. That's why I'm saying it. When he got the news that he was going to AAA, there might have been some choice words said. And that's the best I can come up with. Or if we're being on the Nick Senzel was very nice, decided he was going to go down to AAA. He just so happened to take 3 days to get there. You can kind of read between the lines here. Maybe, just maybe, they decided they want more of a defensive emphasis in the outfield. They're willing to give up the offensive production because they didn't think they were going to get a whole lot of offensive production anyways from Nick Senzel, which you could argue that that's not always true because he does hit lefties well. But I have one proclamation to make here today. If anybody brings up San Diego, now when I say San Diego, I mean the Padres again, in any wild card discussion, then you must include the Mets too. That's fine. Because if you want to bring up San Diego, who's 60-67, they're currently 6 back, 4-6 in their last 10, then you have to bring up the Mets, who are 7-3 in their last 10, 7 games back, just 1 behind San Diego. So that's where you should be. And in fact, if you're going to bring up the Mets, then I think you should bring up Washington, the Nationals too, because they're 7.5 back. So if you bring up the Padres, then you must at least include the Mets and the Nationals.
That's fair. By the way, the Nationals, after they beat us, I think they've only lost like 5 games this month.
The Nationals have the third best record in Major League Baseball since the All-Star break.
So that's all I'm asking. Everybody wants to jump on this whole what if, what could have been, what should have been, this team's better than they really are train. That is the San Diego Padres. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm sick and tired of hearing about the Padres. They've not been good. They're not good. They're 6-7 games under 500. If they make a run, some crazy run, and get themselves close to the wild card, so be it. But, oh, by the way, they have to jump 1, 2, 3 teams just to get a chance to get into the wild card discussion. So, good luck. They're gonna have to win every game but 5 for the rest of the year.
That's being 6 games back with a month to go. That's too much. And it's not like it's one division, right? It's not like you're 6 games back of one team that.
Correct. That's what I'm getting at. They can 3 teams ahead of them.
Right. There are 8 teams that are in this wild card that they need simultaneously to for crap to hit the fan for them to even sniff a playoff shot.
Yeah, I would agree. And by the way, not to go back to the Senzel thing, I'm seeing a lot of Senzel talk in the chat. Jose Barrero, I firmly believe the Reds kind of ruined his career by bringing him up way too early. I firmly believe that. I think the Reds also ruined Nick Senzel's career. I was debating this with a friend yesterday. Nick Senzel was a shortstop, and the Reds forced him to be an outfielder. Trace is avidly against that, and rightfully so. Yeah. I think forcing guys to play positions where they haven't played their entire life is going to be an issue. No matter if you're professional or not, it's just different. I think the Reds absolutely torched that guy's career. Has he stayed healthy? No. But could you argue that a large part of the injuries have been because he's playing the outfield? He's getting vertigo. He's looking up in the sun. He can't see the ball. He's never had to look up in the sun before, right? And again, I'm not excusing that. But at the same time, it's like you look at Nick Senzel, and I think the Reds absolutely torched his career, and I think he has a fair gripe with which is what's happening right now. I think if he had some choice words on his way out, I think that was a farewell. I think Scott Boras is his agent, so they're just trying to get a bag somewhere else and just move on from Cincinnati. I do kind of feel bad for Senzel. I do kind of feel bad.
That draft.
That was my last Senzel.
Nick Senzel's draft was so bad. Like I always go back. You faced the number 1 pick from that draft, Mickey Moniak, who plays for the Angels now. I'm looking at that draft. Besides Will Smith, the catcher for the Dodgers, there's not a single guy that has a WAR over 6 from a draft that happened 8 years ago now, 7 years ago. That draft is historically bad.
Well, that's why you're here, Reed. You let us know that draft was historically bad. Nick Senzel, listen, I think it's a situation where if Nick got another opportunity in kind of a different place, maybe things would turn around for him. I do believe that's possible in Major League Baseball. I know people might think that that's wild, but it's been proven over and over and over again. Humans are not machines, right? We're wired. Some are wired differently than others. Maybe if Nick Senzel gets a new, fresh start somewhere else, he can kind of turn it around and become kind of a utility player and has a decent career. To say the Reds ruined his career, I get where you're coming from. I don't know if you mean it in the actual specific meaning of what ruined is, but I don't know. I mean, I hear you. The only thing I'd say about that is that at some point, some guys have to make adjustments, and they have to be able to start playing a little bit better over a certain period of time. And the thing that ruined Nick Senzel's career more than anything was injuries. And if you want to say that he got injuries because he had to play different positions, that's possible. It's possible. It's obviously not provable one way or the other, but Nick Senzel, a guy that I think always cared, which I don't know how much we keep putting stock into that. You know, that's one thing you always hear people say when they try to say nice things about a guy. Is like, well, he cared, he worked hard. I mean, out of all the guys that play in Major League Baseball, if there's 1,000 of them, 995 of them care.
Correct.
Right? I mean, maybe it's the 5 guys, and I'm not trying to single people out, but maybe it's the 5 guys that we always latch onto when we see and again, not to jump from one sport to the next, but you see a John Daly type of figure where it's like, oh, this guy's a happy-go-lucky, could care less about what's going on. That just doesn't happen all that often in Major League Baseball. So should we use that as a parameter of whether or not we think that we should give some guy some grace or not? I don't know. But Nick Senzel did care. I think he worked hard, and I just think, unfortunately for him, the injury bug bit him. You had mentioned they ruined Jose Barrero's career. Jose Barrero's career hasn't even started yet. Okay, that's one thing that I do believe in with a passion is I think that the narrative of going to AAA has got to stop. It's got to stop. Will Benson's done it. T.J. Friedel's done it. I don't know how many more people have to do it, but you can come up to the major leagues, struggle, go back to AAA, go back to the minor leagues, come back and have a great career. You can do it. It's possible. It's not a death sentence. Chucky Robinson, I'd like to see maybe one day, maybe he can get an opportunity to see whether or not he could be a guy.
I hope so. Nick Kirby certainly doesn't believe that, but I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Chucky Robinson, the 28-year-old rookie, he's going to come up at some point this year. You're going to see it. You're going to see it.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. If Chucky Robinson's coming up, that means that something bad happened, and we don't want anything bad things happening.
Well, it's already happened. Tyler Stevenson can't play baseball.
Well, that's where you're wrong. See, let me rally around the troops here. I'm being serious. Tyler Stevenson has shown enough bright spots throughout his career, which although it's short, to play better than what he's playing now.
Right.
To play better than what he's playing now. Doesn't mean I think that he could possibly be better than what he used to be. Doesn't mean I think he should always consistently be the guy that he was in years past. But he's not this bad. We know he's not this bad. In fact, I know for a fact next year, Tyler Stevenson, whether he's playing for the Reds or whether he's playing for someone else, he will not have this bad of a year. This is all a mental thing. It's been snowballing, and it started earlier in the year. And unfortunately, like it or not, when the lights get bright, this is the facts. When the lights get bright, some guys don't perform well in that aspect. Some guys excel. That's the truth. And I'm not saying Tyler Stevenson can't ever be the poster child, the face of a franchise. Maybe he can. But this year's proven to me that when you kind of put him up as the poster child, and let's be honest, there was only a few guys at the beginning of this year that you could point to and say, hey, we're going to sell tickets because of this guy. It was Jonathan India and Tyler Stevenson. And you could make the case to Joey Votto, but Joey Votto was hurt. He wasn't around. He wasn't available. Tyler Stevenson maybe put too much pressure on himself, thinking that he had to be something that he wasn't. That started to snowball. Next thing you know, everybody's calling for his head, saying that he needs to get, traded. He didn't really ever, I don't think, have a chance to get traded. But send him down to AAA, play Luke Maile over him. I've been the guy from the start that said Tyler Stevenson does not look right. Sir Boy Wonder of the world was telling me that I was toxic. Toxic Trace. Ty Steve's good. Ty Steve's good. I don't know, man. I don't know if he's good. Good's a strong word. I think he could be average.
But if we use your logic, right, and you say sending guys to AAA, that narrative's got to stop. If you take that narrative, why is Tyler Stevenson still up? It hasn't worked this season. It objectively hasn't. I mean, I get you have to trust your guy. Eventually he's going to be good. I do think he's better than what he's playing right now, but he's not good right now. So if you're using the same logic you're using for Jose Barrero, if you're saying guys like Joey Votto need to perform better, obviously you can't send Joey Votto down, but Tyler Stevenson you can send down. You give somebody else a shot. Luke Maile's objectively better right now, at this second.
Trace.
I see them saying that I'm flip-flopping.
Flip-flop
Here's what I would say.
Trace Biden, those are tough.
No, that's okay. You ready for this one? If you don't have an intellectual high enough of a brain to be able to see what I'm trying to say, then I can't help you. It's like being in calculus class right now and trying to explain calculus to someone that doesn't even know addition. If you can't get to the basics and I can't get you up to this level to understand where we're at, I can't help you. If you don't understand that Tyler Stevenson can be a little bit better than what he's at now, so be it. If you can't understand that I also said Tyler Stevenson's not very good all year long, then I don't understand the difference there. Those are two separate things. Two completely separate things. Tyler Stevenson, if you want me to say it straight to your face, he's been bad this year. Not
Horrible.
been good.
Horrible.
It's been horrible. Been all the above. But again, I've not sitting here and yelled and screamed about Chucky Robinson coming up. Have you heard me say that?
Well,
I haven't.
there's a veteran catcher that is available. He spent some time in the NL Central this year. Former Gold Glover, Trace.
He sucks.
He's available.
He sucks.
You can
He's
get him
available
off the-
for a reason because
you
he
can get him off the
sucks.
scrap heap. Old Tucker. Bring him back, Trace.
No.
Bring him back.
Tucker's a nice guy. That's all I have to say about him.
Let's take a couple look at his stats. He had a great year in
I'm done with
Detroit
Tucker.
last year.
I'm done with Tucker. Let me tell you something right now. I promise this. I will promise you this. If the Cincinnati Reds have Tucker Barnhart play in one Major League Baseball game this year, I will. Nick Kirby's going to be doing the show solo for the rest of the year. I will not be back on the show until next season. That Tucker Barnhart was the most overrated player in Reds history for about a 3-year stretch. All I had to hear about was how he has a gold glove. Gold glove.
Two-time Gold Glover.
Meanwhile, I'm watching pass ball here, pass ball there.
Tucker had 110 at-bats for the Cubs this year. He had 4 extra base hits and 110 at-bats.
Nick said Kurt Casale's better than Tucker Barnhart, and he's 100% right. There's no
Correct.
doubt about it.
Correct.
In fact, maybe that's what this team is missing. They've been missing 3 catchers. That's what it is. Kurt Casale's been out for a while. We need to get Kurt Casale back.
This is an
Now we're
unserious
talking.
conversation.
All right. Let's listen. Don't leave fast. I do have a sincere question about FC Cincinnati for a second. These ticket prices are outrageously high. Can we get a live update on where these are at? Can we get a live update?
Yeah.
Is there a way you guys could let me know what the ticket price is to go see Lionel Messi? Is that how you say his name, by the way?
Lionel.
Lionel.
Like Lionel Coinbank.
Okay, fair enough. People are pecking at their keys trying to figure out how much ticket prices are. Hey, I love that. I love the idea that you think that I'm on Tyler Stevenson's side now.
230.
I got 276.
276.
On SeatGeek,
I got-
230.
Yeah.
On SeatGeek, 276.
Vivid seats, 222.
Ooh, these sounds like some fees on top of 222, 276. What's tick pick?
Tick
No
pick.
free ads?
276 is correct after the fees. Let's
All
go
right,
with tick.
276. $276. Can I admit something to you? If I was wealthy, which I'm not, I'd go. There's something about getting a chance to see greatness. It's something about being 80 years old if you're fortunate enough or maybe unfortunate enough to live that long. I don't know. Some people maybe would argue that you're unfortunate, and some people would argue that you're fortunate. There's something about seeing greatness. And 276, pretty steep for me, especially for a sport that I perhaps don't love. But just the opportunity that when I'm 70, 80 years old that I could say I could possibly seen or probably seen the best soccer and or football, whatever term you want to use, player of all time. I think it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Now maybe that's overkill. I know. But life's about experiences. There's one thing that I will never, ever, ever tell you not to do, and that's probably you're never going to hear Trace tell you not to go do something. Probably the biggest regret that I've ever had of deciding that money was more important than experiences, and I was poor. And when I say poor, I mean poor. I sold Notre Dame tickets when they played Georgia at Notre Dame. It was an unbelievable football game. Would have been an unbelievable experience if I was there. I wasn't there. Why? Because I thought I could make $600. Now, I needed that probably $600 at the time, so I don't want to downplay that at all. But my point is I've never one time ever purchased or overspent for an experience in my life, left that said event, and thought to myself, man, I really made a huge mistake there. Not one single time. Now, maybe I've been lucky. Maybe I've been fortunate. I did not buy tickets to Firefest, so those people probably have a much different opinion than I do. But have you guys around the room ever overspent on something or ever thought before you went to something that you're like, I'm probably making a mistake here. I'm paying way too much to go see something I really care about, and been disappointed on the back end?
I don't have a situation where you've actually talked me into doing a couple things. I think the Bengals-Titans game last year when I was heading down to Florida, you convinced me to go to that. We kind of all talked ourselves into going to the AFC Championship game at Arrowhead. But the one thing that it's a funny story about me and my wife is me and Mariana started dating back like in 2013. We're in high school, and going through high school and going through college, young couple, you break up a lot. We were not together during the Cubs World Series run in 2016. We weren't dating, and she, out of the blue, texts me and goes, "Hey, I want to come visit you up at college and everything like that." I had every intention of going to Chicago to go see the parade, the victory parade on that Friday. But the day before, Thursday night, the day after the Cubs win the World Series, she's like, "Hey, the Cubs win the World Series. I want to come hang out with you this weekend, yada, yada, yada." And I'm like, I guess I'm not going to the parade. And I didn't go to the parade, but it ended up me and Mariana got back together, and now we're married. We're going on 2 years now. So it all worked out. There's one thing I looked at. I was like, do you think we'd still be together if I would have just said, like, hey, can you come another weekend? I want to go to this parade. But it's a touching, poignant story that maybe I could have gone to the parade. But it all worked out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one. The only thing I can think of is I once paid tickets for a Reds-Cubs game in Chicago, and the Cubs scored 16 unanswered, and I just left crying. That's truly the only time I think I've spent money where it's like, I regret this decision completely. I regret it. Because that was sad. That was a sad moment. A ticket that I wish I would have gone, I'm trying to think of, and the only thing I can think of is the last game against the Giants. I had a possibility to go to that game.
Don't talk about it in this office. We get heated sometimes.
Well, yeah, it's one of the worst games ever. And I think back on it, I was like, I should have been there to support the team, but they died that day. And that was the end of the franchise.
You weren't the only one that wasn't there to support the team.
Why? Yeah?
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. And for those that don't know, I'll tell you what. I had about 10 tickets that I was trying to get rid of because at the time, I think we had season tickets, or we had a group of season tickets. There's a couple things I want to get into. This is going to be a fun show. Some would say a bad show. Some would say a great show. I don't care. But it's somewhere between those two things. I would say it's a fun show, at least. One, we're going to do this today. 100%. We're going to put a chat question right now. Chat question right now. You ready for it? What month should the Chatterbox Golf Outing, we're going to probably call it something else because that's a boring name, the Chatterbox Open, maybe we'll call it the Chatterbox Open. What month should the Chatterbox Open be played? I feel like we should have June/July, July/August, September/October, and then maybe we do something in the spring. But come up with that, Casey. The other thing, which I just lost my train of thought, was where was the
Reds
subject?
versus Giants.
Reds versus Giants. The
And
other
yes.
thing was, yes, thank you. The other thing was that I had a little buddy, very fever pitch-esque group that we all went in and bought season tickets to a specific spot. Ooh, I'll get it out. That way, if the Reds were to ever go to the World Series, we were guaranteed to at least be able to go. Because at the time, we were just lowly college kids that didn't have a lot of money. But if you bought season tickets in the bleachers, didn't cost you that much money, you can split it up with your boys. Well, the good news is that if you do get season tickets, you do have the opportunity to have first right to be able to buy all the tickets. Well, Trace, first time the Reds have been in the postseason since basically ever, I bought as many tickets as I could possibly buy. I was maxing credit cards out, my credit card, of course. I maxed my credit card out, blah, blah, blah. Had to pay for them in advance, like literally 45 days in advance. Crazy stuff, right? And I'm like, I'm just going to resell these things and pay for my own tickets. That's entrepreneurship right there, 101. Didn't work out for me. Why? Because we had bums. We had bums in the city of Cincinnati that didn't want to support their team. What was it? It was a midweek game.
Yep.
And now, to be fair to Cincinnati, it was a midweek game, and it was like at like 2 o'clock.
It was daytime.
And it was daytime. Not a great time.
How old were you, Elliot?
And
I was 8th grade, I think, 7th or 8th.
and here's the
7th grade?
thing. I did this. I sold 6 tickets like 5 minutes before first pitch because I wasn't going to miss the first pitch. I was locked in, pitch by pitch. I sold those tickets, I'm not even kidding, for like $5 a piece.
Oh, no. Oh,
60,
no.
$50 or $60 tickets, and I'm telling you right now, you could get on StubHub, and I'm not kidding you. They were $5 or less about 5 minutes before first pitch.
I remember a bunch
That's a fact.
I remember
Oh,
a bunch of
no.
high school
Baseball City.
I was in high school, and it was during school, and I remember a bunch of my friends went and trying to convince my dad that I had to skip school to go to a baseball game would have gone over like a lead balloon. So I didn't even try.
Casey,
to go.
we need some fall dates, man. We got April, May, June, and July. We need
Can we in the fall? I mean, Trace, can we do it in the
we
fall?
cannot do it in
These
the
things
fall.
out.
I don't think we can
We
do it
cannot
in the
do it
fall.
in the fall.
All right, I'm getting bullied now. My own employees are bullying me out of when we can do this.
It's
thing.
the best time to golf. Fall's the best time to golf. But
All right.
let's
But you're
do it
saying
on a
it's
Fri-
the worst
let's
time
do
in
it-
this
let's do
company.
it-
Let's
be
do it on a
sensible.
Friday in September. Let's do it.
All right, you convinced me. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say all my friends went to the game, and yeah, I mean we were college or high school kids, and they just went out and bought with their own money and went to the game, and I was like, man, what's going on in this town? That this game is that high school kids are buying tickets at the last moment, literally at lunch, to go to this game out at 2:00. It's crazy. It'll be vastly different if the Reds make the postseason this year and play home games.
Oh, it'll be $100.
Tickets will be $100 at least. I truly believe that. Even for a day game, tickets will be $100.
Day games have done well too this year, so a lot of excitement. Excitement back.
Did you see? I'll see if I can pull up this tweet about every franchise's attendance numbers, average attendance numbers. Like 27 of the 30 franchises have increased their average attendance this year. We talk about baseball as a dying game, but I'll see if I can pull up the tweet. It was incredible. And the Reds were like the third highest in average attendance going up. They've almost like had 8,000 more fans per game this season, which is just it's great for the game.
What about Oakland?
Oakland, it was like the Cardinals and the White Sox were the teams that did not improve. I'll see if I can pull it up.
The White Sox are sad. The White Sox are sad. Talk
Oakland-
about sad fan bases. Who do you think's more sad as a fan base? The Mets, the White Sox, or the Athletics? Who do you think has just the most sad existence?
So this is the thing about the White Sox is the White Sox are in a very we're in a very similar situation that the Reds are in right now. They were in that situation like 2 years ago. All their players were young, 23, 24, rookies, high prospects, playing very well as a rookie year, like so well that the White Sox were in playoff hunts. I think they may have even made the postseason, and everyone's like, dude, this team's going to be good for years to come. And they go out and get these veteran pieces to help supplement it, and it just didn't work. None of it worked. I mean, the only player that's worth a darn is Luis Robert. He's one of the best 10 players in baseball.
They always had the game in the corn, though. The game in the corn was one of the best
was great.
baseball games ever played against the Yankees.
That was a great game.
Yeah. All right. National Football League. I don't have a lot to discuss about the National Football League outside. I think that we can have some fun today. We can say, who do we think the division winners are? Who are the sleepers? And if we had to make one bold prediction on a Super Bowl champion, who's the long shot that you're taking? I think that probably if you watch this show, you know the personalities in the room. You probably have a good idea on where people leaning on certain subjects. But, fellas, Casey's not really been a part of the show enough today. That's because, he just lays low a little bit when we start screaming and yelling about baseball. And then we get to the NFL, and Casey's right back. In fact, I think Casey stands up out of his chair as soon as we mention the word NFL. Casey, I don't know how you want to do this. Do you think we should just go one by one in each division and go around the room, and then we'll do the Super Bowl at the end? Or do you have a better plan of attack here?
Nope, that sounds good, Trace.
All right. So
Let's start with the NFC first. The NFC is a bum conference.
Bum.
So we'll start with the NFC.
Bum.
Let's start with the East. The NFC East, there's one team significantly better than the rest.
Yeah,
That would be the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a unanimous choice as the winner of that division.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I mean, they were the best team in the NFC, and they probably got the best talent in the draft, right? They probably got the best talent
The
in the
team
draft.
that can make the biggest run or the biggest difference in that division, in my opinion, is the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys could beat the Eagles. I think the Cowboys could win. I don't say they could win the Super Bowl with Dak, but man, it feels like they're a luck 3-week stretch with Dak Prescott playing great football,
Yep.
possibly winning the Super Bowl. But it just seems like that's
Have we written off the Giants? Giants
No,
had,
they could have 3 teams make the postseason.
I was going to say, because Giants had a good run last year. Giants were very, very good last year. So Saquon Barkley, Trace's guy, running back extraordinaire. So I think the Giants could make some noise too. I think they would be my sleeper from the NFC East. NFC West, yuck. I'll take the 49ers in a landslide. The rest of the teams don't matter.
Really? You think the rest of the teams don't matter? I think the Seahawks are a decent team.
Seahawks are a 500 team.
No. They're
500.
better.
They're what?
They're better this year.
Who's their quarterback?
Geno Smith. He's a top 10 quarterback in this league.
No, he's not.
He is too.
No, but that's funny, though. It's a funny joke. So 49ers, it's going to be them and the Eagles 1-2 in this conference. Again, NFC's so sad.
I'll make a bold prediction that the Seahawks win the West. I think that the 49ers.
That's pretty bold.
I'm just telling you, it is very bold. Someone's going to make a bold decision around here. I guess it'll be me, Elliot. Just keep taking chalk. See, that's how Elliot does the jokes. He makes a point and he goes, "Yeah, well, I'm going to keep moving." But yeah, the Seahawks are a good
It's worked
team
for me thus far.
They're a good team. I think they're a double-digit win team. I think that the 49ers, though they have depth at pretty much every single position, it's still I'm a big quarterback guy, and I've just not seen enough from any of their half a dozen quarterbacks that they have on their roster right now to think that they could be a truly serious contender for the Super Bowl championship. And I mean, if you're asking me, Geno Smith with the Seahawks roster or Sam Darnold with the 49ers roster, it's pretty simple what I'm taking.
I feel like I got killed last season for not having any faith in Brock Purdy, and now no one has any faith in him after this injury. I'm going to go on the opposite side of that. I really do think Brock Purdy can be a starting quarterback.
Oh, he's a flip-flopper just like Trace.
Yeah, just like you, Trace. I think the 49ers, to me, they really, out of all the teams, I think they improved the most on defense. And that's scary because they were already really good on defense. Seahawks, their biggest weakness was offensive line. I'm a big fan of the Seahawks, right? I've talked them up a lot. I think Geno Smith is going to be a top 10 quarterback. I think they make a wild card. I think the 49ers are actually going to potentially be the number 1 seed. I think the Eagles just have a really tough conference. I think one of those teams is going to sneak a win or two from them. But, yeah, I think if we're going to keep going on to the NFC South, that's where I'm going to make my bold prediction here.
Are the Rams bad? Are the Rams bad? Are we sure the Rams are bad?
So with Matt Stafford back, because I feel like everyone is out on the Rams because they had a bad year last year, but you got to remember they were coming off a Super Bowl and their Super Bowl winning quarterback was hurt the entire year.
Now.
Yeah.
Have you seen
he's 29 years old, 37 years old, however old he is.
Have you seen the starters on their defense?
It's not very good. It's not very good, but I am not counting out. Like, if the Rams won 9 games, no one's going to bat an eye at that, right? No one's going to be like, oh, this Rams team came out of nowhere. And be like, oh, this Rams team's pretty solid. They don't have the oomph to make a deep run in the postseason, but they could certainly make the postseason. My question for the 49ers is at what week is Kyle Shanahan and Christian McCaffrey starting at quarterback for them? Because that's what they had to do last year in the postseason.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a good question.
Point. Again, in the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback, you literally have nothing, which brings us to the NFC North and the Packers, which they have nothing. So the Packers will come in last in that division. It's hard for me to come up here and say the Lions will win the NFC North. I just will never – that's a loser franchise. I think Martha Ford owns the team. Is that right? I say this with love and respect. She might be the worst owner in the history of sports. I mean, she might be the worst owner in the history of all sports ever. She's the worst. So the Lions are dead. I think the Bears are sneaky good. I think Justin Fields is going to have a great year. He's not a fidget spinner. He's not any of that nonsense. He's a decent quarterback. The guy likes to run around. He makes explosive plays. I think the Bears win this division. It's not going to be pretty. I think they win this division with 8 wins under their belt.
8-9?
8-9.
Oh,
8-9 wins it. Packers are winning 4. Vikings win 5. Lions win 7.
This is the worst
the Chicago Bears
time.
and the
This
Chicago Bears have
take.
won the NFC North.
Here's the thing about Justin Fields. This is the thing about Justin Fields. I'm giving myself 6 weeks to make a concrete decision on what I think Justin Fields is. I'm definitely leaning. I'm still on the fence. I'm leaning that he's good. I'm leaning that he's a good quarterback. I'm leaning that he's a good football player. I'm giving myself 6 weeks, and by week 6, I got to make a decision, and I just got to run with it, and I'm going to run with it. Week 6. Give me the Bears in the North.
And he's going to run with it because that's what he does. He runs.
Of all the guys that's sitting here and tell me that running backs don't matter, he turns around and he says that he thinks that the biggest running back in the league is good.
Oh, man.
What a wild take we're on over there on that side of the aisle. I can't believe whatever the hell's on the bottom of those two black chairs. I'd like to figure out, because at this point right now, what you guys just said, I'm a little concerned for your health. At this point, you're trying to tell me that the Lions are going to win like 6 games, Elliot, which is absurd in and of itself. Okay, they're not going to win just 6 games. In fact, I tell you right now, what's the over/under on Betfred? Which I like the way you say it. You said like
Betfred.
Betfred.
Hold on, let me get it up.
I want to know what the over/under is on the Packers, and then I also want to know what the over/under is on the Bears.
I mean, the Vikings also won 13 games last year, and no one's even brought them up.
Yeah, like, I was just
The
about to
Vikings
say,
are going to
like,
win the division. The Vikings are going to win that division. Period. They're going to win the division. They have the most stable roster. They have a decent quarterback. Like him or not, Kirk Cousins is not a bad quarterback.
The new nightmare.
The new nightmare.
All right, you ready? Who do you want?
I want to know the Bears and the Packers.
The
Win
Bears
totals.
over/under is 7.5.
The Bears over/under is 7.5.
The Packers
with an
over/under.
MVP quarterback.
The Packers over/under is
What is it?
7.5.
Wow. Whoa. Got a rookie. Guy's never played in the NFL before. Everybody thinks he stinks. And we got the MVP. Somehow Vegas thinks they both have the same thing. I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal.
Let's do it.
Let's do a deal. You ready
do
for a
it.
deal? I'll put $1,000 down.
Yeah.
I'll put $1,000 down.
Sure.
That the Packers will at least get to their win total, and I get my money back if the Bears go under. So I have to be wrong on both sides of it to give you $1,000. I just want you to buy me lunch at the end of the year.
Sure. Oh yeah, then I'll accept.
Okay.
I'll get Jeff Ruby's for the office.
No, now you're taking money out of your own pocket. That seems like a bad deal
Well, you're
for
taking
you.
money out of your pocket.
No, I'm not.
You're wagering
No, I'm
$1,000
not.
for nonsense. The
No.
Packers suck.
No, I'm not. No
Name
spoil-
a Packers wide receiver. Let's play this game. Christian Watson. That's who you're resting your
Jordan
trust
Ellis.
on.
Romeo Dobbs.
Romeo Dobbs couldn't catch a pass. Romeo Dobbs is a bum. Christian Watson, bum.
This is
Jordan
so
Love won't be the
unserious.
quarterback
This
in week
is the most
13.
unserious
Guys.
I've ever been.
The Detroit Lions over/under on Betfred is 9.5. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go
Thank you.
well under.
Thank
I'm
you.
not
Well
buying the
under?
Thank
Lions
you.
because you know why I'm not
Thank
buying
you.
the Lions.
What number's the Lions?
9.5. They got to win 10 games to hit the over.
I dare
Gotta
you to
go
bet
10
the
and
Lions
7.
over 9.5. I
I'm
want
taking
it to
the
happen.
under.
What do you want to do, Elliot?
want
What do you want to do?
We'll do another lunch bet for the Lions. You want over on the Lions?
I don't want a lunch bet. I want something very embarrassing for you.
Well,
Very embarrassing.
well, no.
I think you have to do a show just in shorts.
All right. Well, okay. I mean, that's preposterous. All right, fine. We'll do that. Nobody's going to want to see it. Nobody will tune in. That's your loss. It's your company, guy. That's fine. I'll do that. We'll do that bet right now.
Oh, there could be a lot of people tuned in. The Lions win how many games? 11?
They got to get 10.
10. The Lions win
digits.
10 games. Elliot only wears shorts on the show.
That's fine. That's great.
That's it. And in fact, it's got to be it's the show exactly after they get to 10 wins after week 12 of the NFL season.
All right, fine. You want to do it that way? We'll do it that way.
I mean,
That's what we're doing.
Have fun.
Nathan
have
Hines
fun.
says you have to wear my shorts.
Well, I can't. I mean, your shorts are preposterous, but I mean, that's just underwear. I come in with Calvin Klein underwear. All right, so okay. So back to the standings. We all agree that the Packers come in last and the Bears win this division, right? That's a unanimous consensus.
Stop.
No,
Whatever.
That is
I
not
love it.
consensus.
All right, Casey, you're the only one that has
Casey,
actually
go ahead and say
real
you're taking the
knowledge here.
Lions to win the division.
I'll be the serious guy here. I think
serious.
I think
I'm
the
serious.
Vikings probably win the division. The Lions probably sneak in at the last wild card spot with 10 wins. That's probably what's going to end up happening. But the Vikings are not winning 13 games this year. They're just not. They have too many primetime games on their schedule for them to not just lose. So
Hey, I thought we said no bits.
Yeah, no
You
bits.
did the new
No-
nightmare
no-
bit. You said
it's
you're
just
being
facts.
serious,
It's
Casey.
just facts. Kirk Cousins can't win in primetime games. So
I mean, that's-
there's the logic there.
We should actually put Kirk Cousins and Andy Dalton in a primetime game and just say, you guys got to figure out who wins this.
Oh,
you got
man.
to
It
figure out
looked
who
like
wins
the
this
Colts and who played the Colts and the Broncos last year. Remember that? I think it was like
my
the worst.
God.
It legitimately was the worst NFL game played in the last 100 years, and it was on
boy.
prime time. And Shout out Kurt Herbstreit. I think at that very moment, Kurt Herbstreit was like, what am I doing? I mean, I decided to call NFL games, and this is what I get. I believe that's what it was. Hopefully I'm not completely wrong on that.
Right.
One thing that I just seen the other day, I don't know if you put much stock into this, Chris Fowler considering calling NFL games, and he said, I don't think he was trying to be slanderous in saying this, but he said that calling NFL games significantly easier than calling college football. That's what he said.
Yeah.
The games are normally pretty competitive, so you don't have the drudge. The players are consistent.
He really just said much less names to remember, much less storylines to remember, much less variables, all that.
Must be. I think football's the easiest sport to call. I think as an amateur broadcaster over here, I think it's the easiest sport to call just because it's made for broad. Like it's literally like you call the play, then the other guy talks. You call the play, then the other guy talks. Like it's not all that difficult.
Yeah.
All right, what division are we in, Casey? Casey, did you finish your point with the NFL NFC North?
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I think you guys are really low on that side of the room, on the Lions. Yes, they have a pretty tough schedule, but
they're the Lions.
They literally do not have like hardly any holes on their team now. Like the only hole that they have is corner. And yes, it's like the third most important position in all of football, but their offensive line, top 3. They got one of the most dynamic weapons in all of football in Jahmyr Gibbs. They got Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're going to get
They did lose
Jameson
a
Williamson
receiver
back.
though, right?
They're going to get him back in 6 weeks, though. I mean,
All right.
if they start off hot, watch out.
Listen, the Lions will never be good.
We spent way too much talking about the Lions.
The Lions will never be good. Notre Dame will never win a big football game. It's just, I mean, just let the history tell you what's going to happen in the future. We've seen what's going to happen. The Lions are not very good.
Fair.
Give me the under. I might hammer the under.
NFC.
I'll ride
Super
with
mega
you.
whale.
NFC South. NFC South. At this point, I think the Saints are the team to beat. I think the Saints are the team to beat. I know Casey's going to tell me the Falcons, but the Falcons don't have a quarterback. So Casey, we'll let you start this one off before the fun crew over there, the non-serious gang, gets a hold of this division.
Well, I think the Falcons, in all honesty, from what I saw, man, guys, they have modeled exactly after the Titans from a couple years ago. Arthur Smith coming from the Titans organization. He's got himself the running back. He's got a top 5 offensive line. He's got giant weapons at tight end and receiver. You don't need a really accurate quarterback when you're just throwing the ball up.
Well, they did last year.
Let me tell you, Desmond Ridder, when he's had time and had the first string defense up against him, he looked really good. Like he was putting some balls on the back shoulders. He looked really good. It's not, and the interception too was more of a good play. If we're gonna go back to this preseason talk for just a minute, the interception he did throw was just a really good play by the defense. Let's just be clear on that. He didn't make a bad choice. He didn't make a bad decision. I personally, the Falcons are super underrated right now. They're not talked about. No one really understands them. They don't have a lot of players that are big names on their defense, but they're a lot like the Bengals. You could point out a lot of their players on their team as just solid starters.
Right.
I'm really high on the Falcons. I'm not so high on the Panthers. I think they stink. The Saints are probably the second team, in my opinion, in that division. And the Bucks, I think they're going to tank. They're going to tank for Williams.
Drew Garrison with the Kirk Cousins is a bedazzled Andy Dalton semi. That's pretty funny.
It's true. That's a true take. I disagree with Casey. I think Desmond Ridder, you can't be a serious NFL franchise and throw Desmond Ridder as your quarterback. I'm a UC fan. I love Desmond Ridder. I think the game translates differently for some college quarterbacks. It's going to translate different for Desmond Ridder. I think he'll be out of the league in 2 years. So if they want to try to go win games this year, that's going to be great. I think they're going to have to literally model off the Titans, like what Casey said. They're just going to have to run it every down. The best chance for the Falcons this year is if Desmond Ridder's throwing 10 to 15 passes a game. That's how they win games. They milk the clock, let Tyler Algier and whoever else is in the back. Who's Drake London? Who else is back there?
Can I just interrupt you very quickly, Elliot? Did you guys watch the quarterback at all this year?
Bijan, yeah.
Did you guys watch the quarterback?
The documentary series? No, I did not.
So in that series, it kind of goes really deep into Marcus Mariota, who, if you think Marcus Mariota is any better than Desmond Ridder, then, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. They're pretty much the same guy, right? They are 7-10, right? They finished their year 7-10. They had 3 games at the start of their season where they lost because the quarterback made a mistake. Okay.
Well, that's what happens with bad teams.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't think Desmond Ridder is going to make the same mistakes, like fumbling a snap.
I watched Desmond Ridder last year, and I thought he was terrible. So I think the Falcons come in third place of that division. I think the Saints come in first, and I think the Bucs come in second.
Fair enough.
The Bucs wide receivers still give them a chance.
Listen, the Falcons should just go. They should just go high school football here. They should put 3 backs in the backfield.
Yep.
They should go Bijan Robinson, Cordell Patterson, Algier, and you know what? You run the wing tee. You run the wing tee.
What's their win total?
What's their win total?
Yeah.
Their over under is at 8.5, which is the second.
Go ahead. Okay. Now you're hosting a show in your underwear. You bet the over right now. Let's do it.
8.5 for
I'll
the
bet the
Falcons.
over.
All right.
I'll
All
bet the
right.
over.
He's got the
football
underwear.
team.
That's an underwear bet. You understand what you're doing.
I 100% understand.
All
what
right.
I'm
So
doing.
Casey's going to host a show, a 2-hour show in his underwear. If that
Shorts.
goes under. Shorts. Sure. If that helps you sleep.
If
tonight.
I make one of these bets, do I have to wear pants? Is that the opposite?
Yeah, you have to wear a suit. You have to wear a suit.
Do I have
Okay.
to iron it?
Yeah, you do.
All right, are we ready for the
Falcons.
AFC?
Give me the Falcons to win the NFC South.
Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's start with the we're going to finish with the AFC North. Let's start with the AFC West. The AFC West, I think, in my opinion, is the a little bit of a hot take here. Not trying to be hot takey, just being honest. I think that division's a little bit better than what people want to give it credit for. I think the Broncos bounce back. I think they're going to be a decent team. I think the Chargers are an up-and-coming team. I've said that before. I'll say it again. I think Justin Herbert is really, really good. And when you have a really, really good quarterback in the NFL, eventually you're going to break through. You can sit here and make fun of the fact that they're going to Charger and do all these things, and you might be right. But coming from a Georgia fan, I heard about how they were going to Georgia everything until they didn't, because eventually you're just good and you overcome the little monkey off your back. I think Herbert, I think they win the division. I know people are going to laugh at that. They think that the Chiefs this and that. Chiefs eventually have to fall, guys. They have to fall. I'm not saying they're going to fall crazy far down the totem pole, but again, I think Chiefs finish second. Chiefs still make the postseason, obviously, and then you obviously have the Broncos and the Raiders finishing after that. That's where I'm at with the division. I know people are going to say that I'm crazy for it. I'm going to sit and die on the hill that is Justin Herbert.
I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the National Football League, to win the division. I do think the Chargers are good. They're a 10-win team, 11-win team. So I think the Chargers are very good. I think it's a tough division. I think the Raiders are no slouch. I think the Broncos are going to have a bounce-back year. I think you're looking at 3 teams from that division making the postseason. I would go Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders. But I do think there's a chance that the Broncos sneak in with a revamped offense. So yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs have won this division every year since 2015. They've got the greatest quarterback in the NFL. Maybe will go down as the greatest quarterback of all time. I certainly like the way he plays. I really do believe that he's one of the GOATs. I think he's one of the best. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm just going with my eyes tell me. And I'm with you guys. I think the West is really good. I think that the Chargers are a good team. They almost made the postseason 2 years ago. They made the postseason last year, and I think they're improving. I think that the Broncos are going to bounce back with a new coach. I think that the Raiders might not even be a bad team. But the simple fact of the matter is Patrick Mahomes doesn't lose division games. He simply just doesn't. On the road, doesn't lose. At home, doesn't lose. And you're going to win the division this year. So, I mean, this is the easiest pick that I've had so far.
Yeah.
What's the Chiefs over under?
Probably 11.5.
Yeah.
I think it's 11.5.
It is 11.5.
What's the Chargers over under?
It's probably 10.5.
9.5.
Oh.
I would take that.
I'd take the over on that too.
If you want the other teams, the Denver Broncos, 8.5.
Right around there. Over.
And the Las Vegas Raiders, sorry, I'm pulling it up.
And we don't know what's happening with Josh Jacobs, right? He's still sitting out?
No, he reported to camp.
He did. Okay.
Yeah.
Las Vegas Raiders is 6.5.
I think I'd take the over on that too.
You know, Trace, I think you're going to look right for the first 15 weeks of the NFL season, and then the Chargers got to play Buffalo, Denver, and Kansas. And that's going to be the determining factor whether or not they win the division. And if I had to be a betting man, I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. That's their last game of the season. That's probably going to be the most important game out of the entire year. Week 18, Kansas versus the Chargers. It's probably going to go down to one game. They're only going to be separated by one game. That would be my.
The AFC West has had two teams make the postseason every year except for one since Patrick Mahomes has made the league. Despite that, Patrick Mahomes is 27-3 in the division.
It's pretty good.
He went undefeated last year.
27-3 in the division.
All right, you want to go to the dog water dumpster that is the AFC South?
God, that is such a bad division.
AFC South is bad. I'll take the Jaguars and the rest of the teams. Thanks for playing. It literally does. I mean, the Colts, Texans, Titans. I mean, your seasons are irrelevant, but have fun. Go out there and win a couple games. Jaguars win the division, and I don't think it's close. I think they win 10, 11 games just because of how horrible that division is.
Yeah, you've got the Texans who are in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, and the Colts are doing an experiment with Anthony Richardson, who might turn out to be all right. But yeah, it's the Jaguars division. Not only to lose, but I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC.
Yeah. Caleb Williams, a discussion we could probably have maybe just after this segment, but he'd come out and said that he would consider sitting out depending on who drafts him. We'll get into that in just a minute. Don't want to derail this segment, but AFC South, Casey.
Yeah, I've got the Jags. Not to do any outside promotion here, but there is a take from one of the biggest sports talking heads out there, Calturd, that Jacksonville could make a run for the number one spot in this AFC playoffs just because of how easy their schedule is. I don't disagree with that. I don't think they're going to be number one, but I think they win their division pretty easily. Going with Jags.
AFC East. It's time for the East.
Everyone, time out. Everyone's on me because the Texans have C.J. Stroud. I knew exactly what I was saying. I knew exactly what I was saying when I said that the Texans are going for Caleb Williams. Trust me, I knew quite what I was saying. Let's move on.
All right, AFC Beast. AFC Beast. I actually think this division is going to be sleepy good too. Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets. I'm still going to take the Bills to win the division, but I'm going to hate it. I think Dolphins come in second. I think Jets come in third. Patriots come in last. Patriots probably won't be too competitive this year in that division. But I think it's going to be actually pretty close between the Dolphins and Jets.
This is the hardest division, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the toughest division to pick a winner because any one of these teams, besides maybe the Patriots, you could really see them not only winning the division but being one of the top teams in the AFC. Just a few things go their way, the old luck calculator, but the Bills have had it the past few years. I'm high on the Dolphins. Despite losing Tua last year, they still looked very competent against the Bills in the postseason, and I think that they've got a really sound roster. I think I'll take the Fins here. I'll take the Fins to win.
That's a good pick. I think they have a good defense. They have an elite wide receiver group. The running backs aren't Mostert's pretty good. Jeff Wilson's pretty good. I think their team's pretty good.
This league is about quarterback play. And that's really what this division's about, in my opinion. There's two teams that I think should possibly the Jets have a small chance, and the only reason I say this is because I think that Aaron Rodgers has a chip on his shoulder. I think he's probably going to be a little bit better than he's been in years past. How good that is, I'll be honest, I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers has been sliding downhill the past 2 or 3 years. Personally, I've watched him do it, and that's not a hot take. That's just the facts. And Father Time's undefeated. It'll be interesting to see how well Aaron Rodgers plays with kind of a new – it's not really a new system because he's been fortunate enough to have his old quarterbacks coach there at the helm with him. But I got to be honest. I think everybody's still sleeping on the Bills. I think it's one of those things where they just kind of fell apart there towards the end of last year. They looked bad. Josh Allen's still Josh Allen. He's still a great quarterback. And I know that Reed and everybody in Cincinnati thinks that you guys killed him and he's completely dead. Josh Allen's not going anywhere anytime soon.
He's a running quarterback. Those don't have anywhere in the NFL.
We'll see how that ends up. I'm telling you right now, the Bills win the division. The Bills win the division. I think that the Jets and the Dolphins are going to fight pretty hard to get to the postseason there. And then, obviously, the Patriots are on the downturn. How many more years does Bill Belichick get to be the head coach of the Patriots with the way things are going? I think that'll be the narrative at the midpoint of this year. we'll see what ends up happening. But it'll be interesting to see how they handle Bill Belichick. Is he gonna stick around and be like, I don't want to say the certain coach from Syracuse, but maybe a certain coach from Syracuse that just hung around a little too long, or is he gonna be kind of like maybe a guy from Villanova who just decides, you know what, I've done a great job, I think it's time to go?
It is. I mean, there's nothing you can do, right? You can't fire Bill Belichick.
No.
You literally can't.
No.
So it's his job as long as he wants it, and it looks like it looks like the years of them being one of the top teams in the NFL are gone, unless they get a great quarterback here in the next coming years.
I mean, if they didn't win another game for the next 5 seasons, he still has that.
He literally.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't
he
think
cannot
so.
get fired.
Oh,
He
he
cannot
gets
get
fired. He gets fired after this year if they don't play well for 2 straight years.
He brought him. How many Super Bowls did he bring him?
Doesn't,
7.
and I'm just telling you, this is
7 Super Bowls in 15
Doesn't matter.
years. I mean, I literally no other coach is better than Bill Belichick. He is the greatest head coach in the National Football League of all time.
Well, they also kind of shown the door to Tom Brady.
I think that was vastly different. I think that was because he had issues with Bill Belichick.
Yeah, that was because they were fighting. That was 100%.
So we'll see. Casey?
Yeah, guys, I got the Bills. I mean, they're getting healthy Von Miller back, and he made a difference to that defense when he was healthy. Man, they looked unstoppable. I don't think the fighting amongst Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs was blown up out of proportion. I think they're okay. It really comes down to, do you think Miami, Patriots, and the Jets are going to get a wild card? Because Buffalo is just they're too good right now.
Except for when they play the Bengals in the snow.
Yeah.
Then we just
Again,
we kill them.
without Von Miller, and I hate saying that, but one of the greatest edge rushers of all time. So I would say I would take Miami as the second team. I think the Jets, here's the hot take, I don't think the Jets even sniff the playoffs.
Ooh. Do we want to do the over/under game on the AFC East?
Yep,
I would.
Bring it out.
Hang on, I'm getting all them ready. So just no one panic, nobody panic.
Nobody panic. Everybody stay calm.
It'd be a damn shame if Jordan Love was fantastic and Aaron Rodgers played more than 60% of the snaps for the Jets and they ended up having like a top 10 pick. Boy, that would be a bad thing.
Okay, we ready? New England Patriots have the lowest win total in the division. Over/under 7.5.
Under.
Under.
I feel like 8 wins feels right.
Yeah, I'm going to say over.
I don't feel like they win 10, but they don't need to win 10. They need to win 8. I'll take under. there. Now we got 2 teams tied for the second highest win total. We got the Dolphins at 9.5. Over/under.
Over.
I'm taking over.
Dolphins 9.5.
9.5.
Under.
Yep. Case.
Yeah, I'm going to go under.
Fun fact about Tua Tagovailoa. Did I say that right?
Nope, not even close.
Tua
Move on.
Tagovailoa.
No, don't try it.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Nope.
Tua Tagovailoa. Anyway, fun fact: he's taking jiu-jitsu to help him learn how to fall. So we'll see if that helps him this year. Pretty hard. It's pretty hard to learn how to fall when you're getting your head slammed into the damn ground. That was the most preposterous headlines I've ever seen in my life the other day. Tua taking jiu-jitsu to learn how to fall. Well, okay. Well, good luck with that.
All serious, like this is not a joke. How many concussions before he's done? 1 this year?
Yeah,
it's one and
he
done.
should be done.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in all honesty, like if you care about someone's health, and I'm not trying to like get all overly crazy about this, he's the one guy in the NFL that I genuinely like am worried for. He's one bad head injury away from like the NFL being in a really, really tough spot. And if you want to get to the root of it, you want to say like, how does the NFL ever fail? I think that's how they end up failing, if anything, is somebody has this unbelievable massive lawsuit against them and they just get taken to the absolute woodshed by some family and some trust or whatever term you want to use. And yes, they make billions and billions and billions of dollars, but it turns into this monumental argument over player safety, this, that, and the other. And that's honestly, it's like that's the only way I can see them fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good. All right. Final 2 ones. Jets 9.5.
Over.
Under.
Over.
Okay, and then you got Bills 10.5.
Under.
Over 10.5 for the Bills.
Yeah, I agree. I think I like the over.
Okay. All right.
All right, move on.
This is it.
This is it.
Wonder what we're gonna pick for the AFC North.
Let's start in last place.
This is the hardest division in football.
Let's
You think
start.
more than the AFC
Let's
East?
start in last place. I'm going to say the Steelers are in last place.
I agree.
I think Kenny Pickett's a bum, but I do think he's okay. They have a great defense. Obviously, the Steelers will be fine. They'll be competitive. Mike Tomlin's still going to probably get over 500 again, miraculously. Browns, they come in third.
Do you think the Browns are going to be over 500?
I think they will. I think they win 9 games too. So I think the Browns will come in third. In second place, I have the Baltimore Ravens, and in first place, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. So, I think the Bengals do win 12 games this year.
Listen, similar to my take about the Lions earlier, about they're just going to, you made the joke about Georgia's just going to Georgia. Until the Lions show me something different, I'm just going to think that they're going to be the Lions every year. Same thing with the Browns. We've heard about how great this roster is now for 5 years. And they made the postseason won a playoff game, and they continuously beat the Bengals for some reason. But they still are just bad every single year.
Yeah.
They're just bad. And until the Browns show me that they're not bad anymore, I'm going to put them at the bottom of this league, or bottom of this division. So Browns last. I have the Steelers sneaking into the postseason. I think they're going to sneak in. I think they're good. I think they're a much improved team. I think the Ravens are an 11-12 win team, and I just think the Bengals are better than everybody else.
NFL is so elite, man.
It's
what
great.
What an
It's
elite
great.
league this
It is.
is. I mean, I can
great.
make the case, genuinely make the case, that 3 of these teams 100% could win the division. Without question. You could argue the Browns can win the division. You could argue the Ravens obviously can win the division. And obviously the Bengals.
I think you can argue the
The
Steelers.
Steelers, I don't know if you can argue the Steelers can win the division, but I would venture to say, when you just said they could sneak into the postseason, I could see that.
They won
I
9
could
games
see
last
that.
year and have improved.
They have gotten better. I think that they have gotten better. And you know what? Pickett, you would like to think maybe he even gets a little bit better. But I've watched Pickett enough to think at this point that I'm with Elliott. I don't think he's that great. However, this is the NFL. Crazier things have happened. This isn't hot takey, I don't think. I think this is the toughest division in football. Therefore, I don't think any of the teams that are coming out of this division are going to have any home field advantages for the postseason. One iota. What I mean is that obviously if you win the division, I know you get to play the home playoff game. I get all that.
You're saying in the divisional round.
But the divisional round, once they get past the first playoff game, I don't think they're going to be playing at home. They're going to beat each other up. I really do believe that. I think the Browns are better than people are going to give them credit for. I know the chat's going to laugh and say the Browns stink. Casey's going to say the Browns stink, blah, 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 blah. I'll beat everybody to the punch in saying it. I know I did it last year. It was a little bit of a bit. It was a joke. But this year, maybe not as much of a bit as it was last year, and I might eventually be right. If you told me I had to take one team for the Super Bowl as a dark horse, I'm taking the Browns. They got a quarterback.
Whoa.
They got a quarterback that could eventually play at an MVP caliber level. He was not there the year before. Yes, you could say he was there, but he just wasn't there. He was halfway through the year, all that garbage nonsense. He's back full-fledged. You might say he's washed up. You might not say he's good. You might say that he's a rapist. That might also may be true. My point is that he plays football at a high level at times, and if he does that, the Browns have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Best running back as well. Best running back.
No, that guy resides in Chicago. But I do think the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Browns all make the postseason.
The thing about the Browns are, and you kind of alluded to this, is, for all of them, they've been bad. They've got a great roster and everything like that. Their quarterback play, Deshaun Watson, he's going to stay loose. He gets plenty of massages. So he's going to be loose the whole season long. So you got that going for him at least.
Yeah, I have a very controversial opinion on this. If you guys
You have a
watch-
controversial opinion on Deshaun Watson?
No,
Oh.
no, on just the AFC North in general.
Okay.
If you watched my show that I did, I talked about the biggest threats to the Bengals in the AFC North. I had the Steelers as their biggest threat, and I still
Yes.
believe that. I think it goes Bengals number 1, obviously. I think second is the Steelers. I think Browns are third. I think the Ravens are considerably worse this year, guys. Considerably worse. And they've looked terrible in the preseason. Lamar has not made – he's not been in a very good spotlight in terms of just throwing the football to these
Talking
amazing
about
receivers they got now. And I don't know. I'm worried about the Ravens. I don't think I think there's going to be a big culture shock.
Lamar
for them.
Jackson's never been given a wide receiver.
I think
that's-
Lamar Jackson is great. I had to take 2 preposterous stances on the show last year. I had to tell you guys that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. Ridiculous that I had to say that. And then I have to constantly tell you guys that Lamar Jackson's a good quarterback. You guys were trying to tell me that Tyler Huntley should be starting over Lamar Jackson. What are we doing?
With all due respect, Tyler Huntley basically, besides one play, played well enough to beat the Bengals.
Yeah, and if Lamar Jackson's playing that game, they probably win.
Ooh. All right. We'll see what happens. That's why they play the games. You don't play them on paper, which the NFL season starts, in 2 weeks? Is that where we're at?
Yep, September 10th.
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yep.
The NFL's elite, man. It's an elite league. It really is. It's an elite league. You know what else is an elite league? College football. You might say, oh, Trace, yeah. I'm telling you, college football. Sit down on college football Saturday. If you're not into it, I understand. I get it. You think that there's not enough games, not enough good games. If you can't find the glory in an Iowa-Nebraska game on a nice crisp Saturday afternoon, then maybe college football isn't for you. Final thoughts here before we end this show. What is the thought process behind Caleb Williams openly saying that depending on who drafts him, he may or may not go? You know that you're in the driver's seat in life when you can say those things. In fact, that's the one thing that from a PR standpoint they tell you not to say, right? Like if you're playing like the Road to the Show or Madden, and they try to do all those like goofy little things that you got to answer questions, and they're like, depending on how you answer this question, we're gonna give you points or no points. If you take the Caleb Williams approach, you're getting no points all the way down the game. He's just like, hey, depending on who drafts me, I might not play for them. I'd be interested to see what teams those are. Even though he's already hinted at some teams, the Dolphins is the team that he had mentioned that he wanted to play for. Kind of wild, but is tanking a problem in the NFL, do you think, or no?
No, because I don't think you can ever truly tank. I mean, I think you look at what happened to the Texans last year. I don't.
That's so funny, Lovey's man.
I don't think they tanked. I just think they weren't good. I think was it who played spoiler 2 years ago? It was the Jaguars, right, over the Colts. It's just like, as much as you can try to tank, the Bengals against the Dolphins on the Joe Burrow game, the last game of the year, Bengals needed to lose to clinch Joe Burrow, and legitimately the Bengals wouldn't die at any point during that game. They wouldn't go away. So I don't think it's a problem. I think it's a far worse problem in the MLB than it is in the NFL. Because in the NFL, I mean, you legitimately, even if you're bad, there's still a legitimate chance you can make the postseason. Always. I think there is tanking. There's certainly tanking, but I think a lot of it has to do with just being having a bad roster opposed to trying to lose games.
Is Caleb Williams? I feel like we've done this thing where there's sweepstakes now for these quarterbacks. Obviously Trevor Lawrence was one. Joe Burrow really wasn't a sweepstake candidate until towards the end of the year because of the miraculous year he had in 2019 for LSU. Is Caleb Williams one of the bigger?
He's the biggest since Andrew Luck. Yeah.
Since Andrew Luck, you think he's bigger than Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, those are every once in a while you just get like a surefire, and just the fact that he's able to, before the year even starts, go, if I don't like where I'm going, I'm not going to go. There's been two quarterbacks that have done that, and it's Eli Manning and John Elway, and they both have been fantastic, and they were both fantastic in their career. Caleb Williams is a dog.
He is. When you watch Caleb Williams play, you immediately realize that he's probably the best player on the field. You don't always see that in the college game all that often. Caleb Williams is that guy. If you've not got a chance to see him play, make it a priority at least at some point this year to flip on USC when they play. They're not going to play any defense out there because that's what Lincoln Riley does. They have zero defense. But they do have a good quarterback, and quarterbacks are fun to watch. All right, to wrap this show up, what month should Chatterbox Open be played? April, May, June, and July. Unfortunately, the employees around here decided we're not going to do anything else in the fall. We're done with the fall. We need to do something else somewhere else. And I'll tell you what, I got to be honest, I kind of agree with them. Right now, with my head spinning, not sure how in the world we continue to do these shows. We need Tom back as fast as the Reds need back. I'm trying to think. Well, I think
that's right, Jonathan India.
I think that's right, Casey. I think that would be disrespectful to Tom, but maybe we'll go with it. Jonathan India.
Golf video, Trace? Any updates in the golf
video? I am 2.5 holes through the golf video. I put about 2.5 hours worth of work in it last night. It's about an hour a hole or so. I'm trying to make it nice. I'm setting the standard of how I want these videos to look. That's my thought process. That's my plan. And then I'm going to turn it over to the guys we hired. And if they don't have those editing skills that I have, I'll tell them, you know what they can do? They can go and they can grind it out in their basements and figure it out and work hard to figure it out, because that's what your boy did. I didn't go to school for any of this. So I do want to set the standard. I want to make sure that when we put the first one out, there's this thought process when we have to do another one, that these guys in the room will figure out how to make it just as good, if not better, than the one that I made. So that's
Can we put out the teaser? Can we put out the teaser?
The teaser, I think I'm going to have to help you edit the teaser
I think
a little bit.
Too. I think you are too, but I still think we can play the first part of the teaser.
First part of the teaser?
You know what I'm saying?
Is it ready to go?
Well, no. Now I'm not going to. Well, now you're scaring me.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know.
It needs Trace's touch.
Yeah, okay. It needs Trace's touch.
Well, it's not just Trace's touch. I'm asking you guys. I mean, obviously, I rolled into this show, we'll call it a little late, considering the fact that I had a late night last night. Before the show started, did you guys have it planned to run this clip or not? Is it queued up, ready to go?
No, because I was waiting for your decision.
Okay, well, then if that's the case, we'll wait. Because here's the thing. I'm going to tell you right now, later today, there will be a trailer. Later today, I would suspect there's a small chance, that the full-fledged film will be featured. If not, I guarantee you, this is how you make sure you get things done in life. I guarantee you tomorrow there will be the full-fledged match between Elliot and myself. We have, again, Monday. We will be playing Woodland. Is that the name of the course?
Monday, Woodland Golf Course.
Monday we'll be playing at Woodland. In the Chatterbox Open, that final poll result was April at 27%, June at 21%, July at 8%, leaving the winner of May at 42%.
May's a great month.
So what we're going to do today, we're done, as Reed would say, beating around the bush. We're done beating around the bush.
What's wrong with that?
Golly day. We're not going to go rehash that. There was a lot wrong with that, okay? There was a lot wrong with that.
No.
You didn't mean a single thing by
Correct.
it. But
You guys
whenever you're
have
talking about
bad
a
minds.
possible rape situation and or underage
Oh,
sexual,
okay, we're done.
We can't.
All right, we're done.
We can't.
Just move
we
on.
can't. We can't use those types of terms. Okay, it's pretty obvious as to why you can't use them. Now these guys are trying to protect me, like I'm going to say something stupid. I'm not.
Reed's got a top 5 to end the show.
I do have a
We
cherry
do
on top.
have a top 5,
We
but
do.
May we're gonna make Chatterbox Open a thing, and it's going to be a little bit of a golf outing, but a little bit of a different take on a golf outing. We're gonna make it our own, and if you want to jump on the bandwagon, we'll make sure that you're obviously well aware of that. But we will shoot for May, and until then, we have the cherry on top and Reed's list, which should be interesting.
Yeah, it is going to be a good list. So we'll go ahead and sling it on over here. The thing is
Wait a minute. This is the cherry on top presented by United Dairy Farmers. I'm pretty damn sure we have a jingle. Do we have a jingle? Run the jingle.
All right, guys, we are back here. This is something I want to do kind of on a regular basis. I did one last week on the top 5 cups. We had a good laugh. I felt like it was a good top 5 list. And you know what? Elliot gave me some advice on where to go with the top 5 list today. So that's what we're going to do. It's the top 5 divas in sports. This was brought on because of the James Harden saga. Spoiler, he's not in the top 5 list, although he certainly is close. So we're going to go into the top 5 guys that it just feels like the stuff surrounding their play seems to overtake their actual play. So just too much drama. It seems like a soap opera all the time. So without further ado, this is the top 5 divas in sports history. Coming in at number 5, you have Alex Rodriguez. I think Alex Rodriguez as a player might be the greatest infielder of all time. I know that's a hot take. He was a great player. Everything else about Alex Rodriguez, I freaking despise. When he's on a broadcast, he's terrible. We've got this play, which I think he is justified in. That is his natural running motion. He didn't slap Bronson Arroyo. That's just how he ran down the line. That's just how he runs. He's a little goofy sometimes. But A-Rod, all the stuff that comes with his girlfriends, all the stuff that came with his steroids, all the stuff that came just all the time he was in the tabloids. A-Rod, I'm sorry, brother. You're the top 5 biggest diva in sports. Coming in at number 4, Kyrie Irving. I mean, Is there a crazier guy in sports than Kyrie Irving? I mean, it seems like every single year we've got a new thing that we're doing. First off, he doesn't even believe that the earth is round. I'm sorry for any flat earthers that are in the chat right now. He doesn't believe that there's a sphere. I mean, we've got 99.9% of scientists saying, yeah, it's a sphere. Yeah, it's round. And then there's just like one guy's like, wait a minute, it's flat. I mean, have you ever been outside the space? Have you ever been out in space and saw the earth? What are we doing here, Kyrie? He's coming in at number 4. This is where the list gets really good. This is where we really start honing in on the top 5 divas in sports. Coming in at number 3 rather. Brett Favre. Favre, I mean, the texting situation where he's sending pictures to girls. He retired about 9 different times, and now he's embezzling money? Brett, you were such a fun player to watch. You were maybe the most fun player in the history of the NFL. He was like a cowboy. He was a gunslinger. It might have been where the gunslinger trope came out in National Football League quarterbacks. But, man, you just can't get behind it. And on top of that, the day that they retired his jersey, Jay Cutler spoiled that. So that was Brett Favre coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 2, Aaron Rodgers. How can you win back-to-back MVPs and your fan base is just tired of you, done of you? I mean, Trey said earlier on this show, over the past couple years, the talent's just dwindled. He's not played well. He's won 2 of the last 3 most valuable player awards in this league. That's how tiring. Doesn't talk to his family. He's been engaged about 12 different times and is yet to find it. He's a drug addict. I mean, he's taking Native American spiritual drugs all the time. He's going in a hole for 48 hours. And what are we doing, Aaron Rodgers? What are we doing? Just play the game of football. We just want to see you sling it. Before we get into number 1, we do have one honorable mention, and it's Bart Starr. I mean, do I need to say anything else? Bart Starr. And
world-renowned diva, Bart Starr.
Number 1, it's Jordan Love. Jordan Love, I mean, we just want to see you play football. We're talking about it. I mean, we're dissecting your preseason game film. I mean, just when did quarterbacks start to become anything other than just the quarterback of a team? I'm tired of everyone that has ever played quarterback up in Green Bay. They're all divas. I don't know what they put in the cheese up in Wisconsin, but golly day, get out of the news. Jordan Love, the biggest diva in sports history. Trace, back to you.
I hope Jordan Love has half the career that Aaron Rodgers had in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers has brought me many great memories, many great times, brought me a lot of happiness, ton of happiness. In fact, I wish Aaron all the best in his endeavors in New York. I hope that the Jets win not that many football games because ultimately the Packers get a better draft pick and he has to play 50 or 60% of the snaps. I'll keep an eye on that as the season progresses. But the one thing that wouldn't shock me at all, is that the Jets end up being really, really good because Aaron Rodgers is an unbelievable quarterback, carried the Packers for a long, long time. It's a damn shame they didn't do more around him to help him. It's a damn shame. But that's here nor there. As always, we'll be back tomorrow from 10 a to 12 p to talk about sports because that's what Ronnie wants. And when Ronnie gets what Ronnie wants. And here's the thing. There's golf. We probably should talk about it. Ryder Cup. You interested in that? You should be if you're not. Got the Tour Championship. We'll get into golf discussion tomorrow just a little bit, and then we'll probably be back to complain about how the Reds
they're going to win 2. They're going to win 2 today.
Either won 1 game or 0. That's me trying to jinx the absolute ever-living hell out of that. I hope the Reds sweep today because if they do, I'm telling you right now, you're never going to see a guy come in here with more energy because the Reds will be officially back if they do that. They're just 2 games away. So you go watch the Red Legs today. Maybe crack open a nice fine Pilsner late in the evening and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Much love to you.
It's going to be hot. Drink a Pawnee water.
There you go. Shout out to Pawnee Water.
Or get some ice cream from UDF.
And get some ice cream from UDF. Bet with Bedfred. And as always, if you have any kind of encore situation, which is technological, by the way.
If your computer's overheating.
If your computer's overheating, Encore's the place for you. Much love to everybody. We'll be back better than ever tomorrow. See ya.